right? You're going to be beaten up as a minimum. Now, I'm telling you this because I think I showed you a few pictures the other day, right? Look at this one right here. This is not too long ago in Oakland, California. This is Oakland, California. The government agent is this person right here, who has these police officers arresting me in my Masjid al-Islam in Oakland, and if you see, I'm half dressed. In fact, when they came in, I was undressed. So I had to put clothes on as much as I could, even against their will. But now, and of course, I showed you this one. Right? Now let me explain. Not only are the police not learning anything this time, but they didn't learn anything last time. They didn't learn anything from Ferguson. They didn't learn anything from Baltimore. They're not learning. Can you imagine if this time, when there are millions of people in the street, they go and kill another black man, unjustified in the night? That means that these people don't have any regard for us as human beings at all. They just don't have any regard. Now later on, we'll talk about what we feel are our solutions. But I hope I answered the first question. Confederacy. Yeah. It's coming up, yes it is. Okay, like we say, this is a sign of the times. In the United States, they've been on this tangent for the last few years about bringing down or getting rid of Confederate monuments. A few of them were erected in the South after the Civil War. Most of them were erected during the 50s and the 60s, at the beginning of civil rights movements in the United States, when blacks started to stand up for themselves and demand voting rights, human rights, civil rights, and all of these. This is the period when they built or erected most of those statues at that time. In other words, 60 years ago is when they erected most of them. Okay, that was to make a statement about, we're not giving you nothing. There's a saying in the United States that the North won the Civil War, but the historical revisionists began to revive the Confederate side as a great honorable lost cause. We saw that in Birth of a Nation, 1915. 50 years after the Civil War. Birth of the Nation made the Confederacy and that rebellion, that tyranny, they made that an honorable, it was honorable. Birth of the Nation. And then they made the Ku Klux Klan. They made them the heroes the people that purposely killed and frightened black people. That was the purpose of the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, the statues today, some of it is very symbolic. So, if white people love their South and their history, they should have museums where they put those statues. Or if they have a statue of Robert E. Lee, they should always also have a statue of Malcolm X right across the street, just as big as here. Malcolm X or Frederick Douglass. So you get a real historical view. You see what I mean? In some cases, they shouldn't totally hide the history of the Civil War and antebellum period, pre-Civil War. They shouldn't hide that. That is a part of American history. But it should be equally explained. The revolution of the Civil War was rebellion against the United States of America. They were rebels. They used to refer to them as Johnny Red. You know, they were rebels. They were rebelling against the established order. Over 671,000 people were killed during the Civil War. They lost as many people in one battle, like Gettysburg, as they lost in Korea in 1950 and 51, 52. They lost almost as many as they lost in the whole Vietnam War in one or two battles in the Civil War. Right? What was so honorable about that? Right? So that's they say the North won the official war, but the storyline, the South won that. Now, black people are saying, and even the Southern people, you know, they're having demonstrations down south. And those demonstrations down south have white people in it too. This young generation of white people are not, well, there's a large number, I'll put it that way, of this generation of white Americans. You see? So in the midst of all of this present demonstrations and all that, there's some evolution going on. There's some evolution or some evolutionary process that's going on. I don't have time, but sometime later in another program, I will talk about some of the things that's going on below the surface. That means some groups, organizations, and movements that are manipulating a lot of the things that's going on right now. But there's some things that are happening that are very progressive. The people are saying, enough is enough. That's mainly the message. Enough is enough. And we have a right to live. Are dying, yeah. regress for a minute. And we have talked about this a lot here. Do you remember that every year now, during Arbain, there are 20 million, 25 million people going to Najaf and Karbala? Okay. But we said here, years ago, we said this, and the brothers here can verify it. We said the people, the American government and the West do not understand what's going on. Neither do the people that are participating. There's something special getting ready to happen. What was it? When Qasem Soleimani was martyred, right? On January the 3rd, everything that he was living for and working for almost manifested itself right away. 5, 6, 7 million people were out in the streets at every city, at every place. The solidarity between Iran and Iraq was solidified. The people in Iran, it seems like that their minds and their spirit, although they were much older now, along with their modern children, was back to the beginning of the revolution in Iran by attitude. And it showed in everything that was happening. My personal opinion is this is one of the catalysts that helps the Islamic Republic survive year in and year out with 40 years of sanctions, right? That with 40 years of sanctions, our belief is the reality. There is no period, no country in history, no people in history that had to survive so many consistent fitnas one after another. The war between Iran and Iraq, Iran was attacked. Some cities were so destroyed, just imagine that they just rebuilt cities next to some of the cities. You look at Khorramshahr and those other cities that were leveled, but the Islamic Republic survived. The other miracle, you have to understand the importance of the Islamic Republic in modern times. Where would Lebanon be without the Islamic Republic? Where would Syria be without the Islamic Republic? Where would Yemen be, right, without the Islamic Republic? In other words, the Islamic Republic is the focal point of modern times. Now, I want to say something that I hope it clicks with everybody. What's happening in Iran and what's happening here? Iran is the focal point of world hatred or Western hatred, but at the same time, it is a symbol of possibilities of what can happen, what the human being can do, what human evolution really is, where a country that didn't have the wherewithal, it didn't even have, our troops at the beginning of the war, September 22nd, 1980, didn't even know how to use the weapons that was left over from the Shah's time. We had to learn that. We had to mobilize. We had to develop ourselves to the point now that Iran is number 4 or 5 in drones, I think, in the world. Iranian missile technology is increasing so fast that they are launching satellites right? So, just like Iran is a model of survival, look what you can do when you're unified. Look what you can do when you have good leadership. Look what you can do when you can maintain your focus. You can be independent. Look at that message. Who else in that region? Is Saudi Arabia independent? Absolutely not. It's a flunky, a stooge for the United States of America. Are any of the Arab Gulf states there independent? Absolutely not. Right? So nobody is really independent except the United States, except the Islamic Republic of Iran, fighting the United States of America. Now, there's another point that I want to add. Inside of America, we're having the same effect. We're showing the people what can be done. And actually, we're showing the people how to do it. Nobody believed historically that anyone could stand for 40 years in front of the FBI. People last 2 or 3 weeks when the FBI come together. Groups and organizations are squeezed and shattered. Here we are showing the people what can be done. You know what we said about Oakland? We called Oakland from Stalingrad to Oakland. Why did we use the term Stalingrad? You know, Americans believed that D-Day, June 6, 1944, was the invasion of France, that this was the beginning of the downfall of Nazi Germany. It wasn't. Stalingrad was. Stalingrad was. After Stalingrad, the Germans were on the run on the Eastern Front, and they're the ones who made it possible for the Western invasion of France on D-Day. There was no more German victories after Stalingrad, right? So we say from Stalingrad to Oakland. In other words, this is the final stop, or the first stop in the super escalation in the decline of the United States of America. And when it goes down, it's going to take all of its friends with it. Iran's rise is raising us all up. But I want the people of Iran to know, right now, in the United States, we're doing our part. We are not going to be pushed around. Okay, they might beat us upside the head, they might put us in jail, but as long as you keep working, right, then there's a possibility of your survival and your winning. They still assault Iran. They still sanction Iran. They make a treaty with Iran and break it whenever they get ready. They break into our masjid. They send us to jail. They beat us up upside the head anytime they want. But their decline is coming. You see? That's what all of these things are. We are a representative of the time, like Iran is a representative of the time. Let me show you a headline from the so-called Muslim. It says, conference focuses on how social invisibility of African American Muslims lead to psychological trauma and suffering. These are everybody but us. These are all many of the African American imams. This is the article they wrote, that they're suffering psychological trauma because of invisibility. In other words, they're not out there. They're saying it themselves. What about us? This is from over 2 years ago. We're out there. We're visible. We're not afraid. Here it is, the whole African American community is saying, we are suffering from a traumatic situation because we're suffering from social, political, and psychological invisibility. We feel invisible and unnecessary. We are not with them. All of these brothers are nice, right? They have brought that on themselves. We are not with them. We're with them on everything good, everything progressive. But we do not suffer invisibility. Think about it. We're out there the other day broadcasting a program to the Islamic Republic of Iran from the middle of that demonstration. Do you know what that means? That means that we can't be afraid of them because they hate the Islamic Republic. I mean, they hate it. They don't. You know what? I don't think the Iranian people know how many groups and organizations and universities and think tanks and lectures that they have against the Islamic Republic. They couldn't because there's so many, we don't even know all of them, right? Now imagine we're so-called American citizens. And we out there saying, we with y'all, y'all our homeboys, we with you, right? And then the American people, they look at it and they're starting to think. When we passed out certain flyers and DVDs, we've got response from the American people. Yeah, we've got response from the American people. So we are going to continue to do our job here in the United States, whether the Americans, the CIA, Homeland Security, FBI, and all of those bums, NSA, whether they like it or not, right? Whether they like it or not. The last thing I know time is short, but let me say this. The Islamic Republic could not have survived on its own. It couldn't have done it. What's the message for the people of Iran? Rise above cliquism, groupism. Think first about Islam, right? Make sure that Ahlul Bayt is not a victim of internal sectarianism. Who's for Walayat Faqih and who's not, right? In elections, there's something they have to do. In an election, you can have your group and you're against this, you're against that, and you da 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 da. But when the people select a leader, a president, parliamentarians, that means you should either, if you're against it, you should either help them push their program or at least remain neutral. Don't work against it. If you do, you'll become American politicians, Democrats and Republicans. Right? If a Republican is nominated and wins the election, the Democrats unite to prevent them from instituting their program or to slow it down. Right? That means you got 60 on this side and 40 on the other. Look at the harm they can do. The same thing with us. When a person is elected or selected, we should help that person, right? Or remain neutral because the person is a Muslim. And he's 95% of the time he's going to be Shia, right? If it's Iran. And the other part, you represent Ahlul Bayt at this time. And you have to do a good job. You can't get into cliquism and little smallism. You can't do it. I'm saying we owe this to the sacrifices of Ahlul Bayt And each Vilayat or Wilayati Faqih, as the years go by, will have to emulate the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. They'll have to be peacemakers, right? Sometimes they'll have to be focused on war, struggle and defense and jihad. Sometimes they may have to be like Imam Jafar Sadiq on education and training, right? Each one that comes after us for the next decades will have, let's call it, issues of the time. And they're going to have to focus on that, and we're going to have to trust that person, but we're going to have to be behind that person. And when we don't agree, we have to talk it out and out and out and out, and then get busy. The one thing I want to say that may not have anything to do with this, but it does. Do you notice how efficient and how effective the Communist Party in China is? How they can plan far ahead? Because they're an old society. Guess what? China is an old society, and so is Iran. There's things that Iranians are doing right now that affect the United States, and it's running its crazy. Why? Because there's, we call it game, but there's strategy that Iran has, there's strategy that the Chinese have from their ancient societies that are ingrained in their history. And they are not totally aware of what fishing in muddy water really means. They think, to them, if we muddy the water, we can catch more fish. But they don't know what it means to Iranians. You see what I'm saying? The point I'm making is, Allah is on our side. But we have to maximize our love and friendship for each other. We should not exclude any group inside of Iran. We should all cooperate with each other. And when we cannot cooperate, at minimum, right, we would try to cooperate or remain neutral. So anyway, I didn't mean to be long-winded, but I know you're just taping this, so use what you like. And what was the last question you had now? Right, I can understand that. I can understand that. Very good. You know, there's one more thing I'd like to say. Do you remember several years ago, we were going out to some place, and the driver didn't know exactly where it was, and he turned into an industrial parking lot, and I said, maybe you're trying to go to another place. And remember, I led y'all exactly to the place that we were going to go to. Do you remember that night? And I said, at this place, you're going to see an old American Chevrolet there. And we got, you remember that? Right, and we got there, and that's where it was. I'm saying this to say something about During the old days, doing traveling around and making all those speeches for the Islamic Republic years ago and for the Muslim students here, I had to make certain decisions. One of the decisions I had to make that I know I was followed everywhere by the American government. I already know that. And I know that everywhere I went, it was going to expose the Iranian students, you know, especially the leaders, because if you're having a program, if you're having it on campus or wherever, right, they get to, wherever you go, they know that that's an important spot. So, in a way, you're going to help them. But then I had to make another decision, was do the government already know who they are and where they are? And I came to the decision that I would be more of a help by continuing to travel around to each campus and to inspire, encourage, and to direct the activity of the Islamic Iranian students in America. I had to make a decision on that. And I made the one that I would keep going, although it exposed the students to some harm. The good that I could do by firing, imagine all those young guys and sisters here in those days. Imagine one of the first lectures I gave that was really serious. It was right after 7th of Kiev. It was at the University of California. In fact, Javad Larijani was the head student there, and another brother named Mustafa. They were the main. And when I walked into Donnell Hall, I could see the people had been crying all night long. You know when their eyes are puffy and what have you? Well, you can see it mostly in the sisters. They're sitting on one side, the brothers sitting on the other. You can see it mostly in them because brothers are so-called men and they're not supposed to be crying a lot. But the women let it out. And, you know, one of our brothers, you know, and he's there now, and he said to me, he said, what you did for us in those days, it gave us a feeling of security, and it was like a parent telling us everything is going to be all right. Because you got to remember how uncertain those early days of the revolution was. You see what I mean? So, I said that to say is, we have a symbiotic relationship between Iran and us. And so, any advice or direction that you get from me is going to be sincere and honest and focused. So, the last thing, I believe in the concept of Vilayat al-Faqih, and I support it. Afghanistan don't have Vilayat al-Faqih, and they have tons of different, although 30% of the people there are Shias. Iraq don't have Vilayat al-Faqih. They're doing better now, but it's still. If you look at Pakistan, if you look at Afghanistan, all of these places, they don't have Vilayat al-Faqih. And I think that that institution, during this time, is our most cherished, or one of our most cherished institutions. And I suggest to all Iranians, all Shias, all Sunnis, well, okay, we're Sunnis. You don't have to convince us because we have the concept of caliphate and leadership, right? We just don't have anything good. So that's our own problem. We don't have anything good. But y'all got excellent leadership. Thank you very much. I don't want to take all your time. And, oh no, alhamdulillah. Right, just do what you can. Okay, no worry. Just keep calling. Thank you very much. Very good. As-Sabiqun. Now we'll still continue with ours. Okay, very good. All right. All right. All right. So we'll just continue with our. Okay.
And this one.
That's all right? Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We'll continue. The first part of this lecture was one that was being pre-recorded for our brothers in the Islamic Republic of Iran. And now we'll continue with our talk for the day. Basis of collective ideas, and we say like thoughts of things. One thing we realize about ourselves and some of the people that we're with, we just talked about a symbiotic relationship between ourselves and the Islamic Republic of Iran. And we know that that's true because, look, here in America, you have to wonder why no Muslims were out supporting the issues that we have right now. Why are the Muslim organizations, the great organizations, like CARE, and like the, what do they call them? Muslim Legal Fund. Organizations, whole organizations, Manna and others, to be against what we're about. We're not welcome on any venues. We're not catered to about what we think about one subject or another. We're more thought of overseas by the numbers than we are here. But we have friends all over the Muslim world. In Kashmir, the Kashmiri, we have friends, we've spoken at these venues. In Pakistan, to Pakistanis, to Kashmiris, the Muslims of South Africa, who are of Indian and Malay origin, and many Africans themselves. So we have friends all over the world. We have associations all over the world. So because the United States government have been so effective to try to isolate us, to try to cut us off, that hasn't been possible. We have outlets technically all over the world. Okay? And the most
revolutionary country in the world today, or evolutionary country, because we believe they had a revolution, but they're going through an evolutionary process within that revolution. The other thing is being raised as a representative of history and as a representative of the oppressed. When we talked a minute ago about from Stalingrad to Oakland, we were given some historical background. When Operation Barbarossa in the summer 1941, when Hitler attacked the Soviet Union at that time, they almost just ran over Russia, all the way over 1,000 miles. Russia used the scorched earth policy. They burned all their buildings. They dismantled all their factories and took them back beyond the range of the German army. Stalingrad is where they stopped the advance of the German army. And from then on, it was defeat for the German army. 5 out of 6 German soldiers killed during World War II were killed by Russians. 27 million Russians died in World War II. 27 million Russians died in World War II. Once the German army reached Stalingrad, now they call it Volgograd, the Eastern Front for the Germans became a disaster. We say from Stalingrad to Oakland. Why? It is because we are a representative of the oppressed during these times. That's just the way it goes. And our representation means we're going to tell you our story, no matter what anybody thinks about it, and we're going to tell it so they can't tell their story. You know the story I'm telling you now have been told over and over so many times that you can, if you didn't heard it once, you didn't heard them all just about. Why is it repetitive? Because after something happens, many people try to change the narrative. They won't be able to change it on us. Oh, they're going to say some little thing about this. But anybody that wants to research this period of time, all they'll have to go is to this spot, and that spot, and it'll be the research engine. That's where you need to go. You want to know about this period of Islamic movement, this period of American history, right? This period of the, whether it's assassination plots, whether it's World Trade Center plots, 1 and 2, whatever they are, you can come to us and you can get a prepared statement. As I showed you, you won't get none of this. Can you imagine? Conference focuses on how social invisibility of American Muslims lead to psychological trauma and suffering. The brothers have invisualized, they didn't disappear themselves. Tell the truth. Nobody was preventing them. I'm telling you. We were the only Muslim down there. Maybe there was some in some other cities. I didn't see them. nor have I heard about it. Okay? The trauma they're suffering is because they produced the trauma themselves. They have made themselves unimportant. And they have made themselves ineffective. They have made themselves invisible. And that invisible, this must be a precursor to what just happened down there. They wrote this thing 2 years ago. What was it? 2007? That's 3 years ago. This is a prediction for now. It's a perfect prediction. Invisible, causing trauma. Oh, I'm upset. You upset because you are not reading the Quran, not understanding the Quran. The hadith is clear. You see wrong, stop it with your hand. You can't speak out about it. At least feel bad about it, but that's the weakest kind of faith. We're warned against oppression. Why? It says, because be careful about the oppressed, because there's no barrier between the doer and the oppressed and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what the hadith. Right? So, we're not arrogant here. We're just not afraid of boss man. It takes a while, but after a while, after you're not afraid, you're just not afraid. And boss man can jump up and down and do anything he wants. And it don't bother us, nor we are not afraid of you cutting us off and isolating us and segregating us over here by ourselves. We're not afraid of that. You know why? Because if they choose teams, this is the bad team or the bums or the fraidy cats, and this over here is the serious folks. Suppose it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people over there and 1 million over there. Who you think I'm going to get with? I'm going to say, I'm with y'all. I don't want to be with 1 million, not cowards or anything like that. Just don't say that. This is terrible language. But we're going to stay up on what modern times say. Modern times say this lady here don't seem to know nothing about Islam, and she just hooked up something a few years ago. And was it millions or hundreds of thousands? At least 1 million people. Women came. She said she was asleep one night and just jumped up and hit the computer and brought all those people. That's a bunch of bull crap. That was organized. Can you see it? Remember all them buses parking, all those people coming in groups after group after group. They used her, and now you can't find her. This boy here is Dear Meeks. Khalil Meeks, Executive Director of MLFA, whatever that is, Muslim Legal. Now I did a program with him. In fact, I introduced late last year, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, one of our lovely brothers. They was doing a fundraiser for them. In fact, they wasn't doing a fundraiser. They was doing a fundraiser for the school, I think on November the 8th of last year. But they called him to he had an emergency program because they needed money on the 7th, whatever that Saturday night. So when I picked up a flyer, I said, hey man, first there was no flyers about that program. Then all of a sudden, I think that they had it because of me, but it don't make no difference what I think. Anyway, I went to the program and all the people who was there. And in fact, some of the foreigners were, hey, look who's here, Big Hank. Now they don't know nothing about no Big Hank. They don't know nothing about no. So somebody, as soon as they said that, I said, okay, fine. Then there was a couple of Negroes there that was 100% against me. 100%. And you talking about jealous and that type of thing. And then all of a sudden they're asking me, Imam Musa, would you announce the program? Would you know what I mean? I said, sure. So I got up. Now, you should have seen how mad they was. They was mad and jealous. You could see it dripping all out there. I mean, these were the two specialists. Because I said, As-Salamu Alaikum, how y'all doing and all that? And they scrunched it all up. I said, good God Almighty. And then, that ain't nothing. When I got up and started announcing the program and this is da-da-da-da-da, and then everybody, you got to remember, everybody is there watching. And in Oakland, they was happy that they thought that they had cut off, access to every, and here I am, da-da-da-da. Then when Brother Mahmoud was giving a speech, he mentioned some things, I didn't ask him to, but he mentioned some things that were, few things that were pretty good. So if he's saying it, and all these other people are watching, these people are there that are watching. Most of them don't know me. Remember, I've been here for 30 years. We helped everything get started out there. The same center that was the biggest center in the region. We helped get all of them started, or the ones that lead to that one. Anyway, so at that program, they raised a ton of money. Somebody gave, 2 or 3 people gave, 4 people gave $25,000, and others gave, I don't know, let's say they raised a couple $100,000. Then the guy, this is old Meeks, I knew something was up because he gave the khutbah, Khalil Meeks, and he was talking about how he always wanted to be a Baptist preacher. And I just looked at him, I said, see, as far as I can see, you still one, And he's European, he's white. That puts the rest of the Muslims there, Indo-Pakistanis, Arabs, in ruku. Ruku. And they act like it. In ruku. He's telling them, he talked about the 8 organizations, Holy Land Foundation and all those guys that had been destroyed, but he didn't know nothing about us. And you know what he said about them? He said the government brought them all down, but none of them were revived. In other words, none of them, they're all charity organizations. None of them were revived. He started giving a list of the people, because right here it says, what does it say? Non-profit law center serving the legal needs of Muslims in America. The law center provides free, direct, legal representation to beneficiaries. Now, I was there with him. I said, man, let me have your card. I can give you a call. You're going to put us to work? I said, yes, sir. Got plenty of work for you. I called him, and some of the people here called him too. What old Khalil did was, he said, first of all, he didn't call me for I don't know when. Then he called me, he says, I looked up your name, and he says, I want to read you something. He read me what the white folks say about me, He's anti-Semite, he's a this, that, and other. And then he says, before he finished, he says, is this accurate? I said, no, it ain't accurate, and it ain't true. And he kept reading. Because the CARE and them guys, they have a thing that if you kind of guilty of something, you can call it a day. So he's reading what they say about me as though they're telling the truth. The other thing was, when he related all of those, the legal crew, all of them were ex-State Department lawyers, ex this and that. I said, man, I don't want the police, them people. And see, the Muslims don't know that. They think it gives them access. And he was giving his talk, he said, you have to get involved in the law because whether it's civil rights or human rights, the law, they all get involved. And I said, the law? I said, voting rights and all of that? I said, they give you that today and take it right back. So I was thinking he was 100% wrong. But he was there to get them to vote and to push America's platform. You want to get involved in America? You'll get involved this way. And you hire the people that they like. If they like them, then they don't like you. As simple as that. They don't realize that. The people, it's hilarious. Look, man, don't look. America, I can't stop laughing. I'll be watching news. So, the white folks was giving some, news was giving some rendition of the things that they heard, from Donald Trump. Not only what we heard, we've seen them, and we heard most of them. And Don just said something. Imagine the generals, all the big generals. You got to imagine all them big generals talking against Don. You got to also think about the themes in many movies. The Rock, soul movie. What's The Rock? Disgruntled colonel, general, right? Special squad, they take over Alcatraz. They do that. I want to ask you, or suggest to you, how many disgruntled generals are there? You know how they are. Our boys. When you should have seen Sensheki, the Japanese guy, years ago, they put him over, he was a 3-star general in the Air Force, they put him over homelessness. Remember that? Years ago, General Sensheki. At that time, it was 250,000 vets, homeless vets. How long do you think these guys, they're all American Europeans, but how long can they take? Sometimes they moved all inside the government, then they think, I'm in here, but my boys, look what they're doing to them. Look what they're doing to my boys. And who's doing it? Those cone-headed, pin-necked politicians. Think about it. You got to think about who's in your army. Avoid it. Special privileges, they run off and they had all the guys. Now this is not only the very top, but I want you to think about all the veterans groups now that are waving the flag. And they sent them to Iraq, no weapons of mass destruction. And everything they've done, they sent them to Afghanistan for 18 years. And they can't get out now. Right? Okay, imagine the colonels and the captains. And also pretty soon, the sergeants and the soldiers. Man, we went over there and they blowed our legs off. Think about these guys walking on stilts now. They lost their legs over there for a lie. See, that's the thing. You got to think about it now. Everybody knows that they were sent over there for a lie. And the old general walking down by the White House, his bosses from years ago when he was junior and called him and said, man, you're a damn fool. Walking out there with that man, and he making a fool out of you. Look what they did to us. Here's a guy, he went to military school, but he wasn't at no history class. He went to no history class. Why? They said something about Frederick Douglass. He said, he's doing fine. Did you hear that? You didn't hear that? Did anybody? He said, check on that president's statement, Frederick Douglass. Just put Frederick Douglass and Trump. He said, Frederick Douglass, you think I'm lying? I'm going to sit here till you pull it up. I'm not really, but he said it. He said it and everybody heard it. It's so many things, and they're not hypocrites. Did you see the Kenty Cloth crew lately on the news? Taking a knee? These people are, you may not believe it, because I watch the TV by myself, because the TV in that room. So the one I watch is the back, I watch it by myself. And I be back there laughing. I almost can't control myself. I said, these people, I don't believe it. And I'm talking to the TV. I don't believe what I just heard. Right. Frederick Douglass is alive and doing well. That's what, did you see it yet? Did he say it? He said it, the man said it. The Washington Post, Frederick Douglass. How's Fred doing? Oh, shoot, Fred, man. Fred, I talked to him last week. That's what he didn't say that, but he might as well. It sounded like, yeah, it sounded like, hey, man, yeah, man, yeah, old Fred. God dog it. And that's not all. It's just a billion things. I can't even bring them up now. Somebody passed his test for him in school. That boy don't know nothing. It's not, okay, we don't have no problem. Y'all remember years ago, some time back, I said somebody hired him. Just like I said somebody hired that police the other day. Okay. There's a lot of things, some people I just talked to. This just the other night, you see, if I show you my phone, you'll see, you can go like, we talk all the time now. And he said about this, you can imagine who I'm talking about. He say, Imam Musa, I just wanted to let you know about that assault. He said that was 9 hours after something like that, because we're ahead of it. He said, we had something to do with that. And I said, don't say what it is, just let me know. And remember, it's November 4th. It's Mubarak America Day. When they took over the U.S. Embassy, that's when I got assaulted. Remember the date? That's Mubarak America Day. That's November the 4th. November the 4th, when I got attacked at the masjid, is Mubarak America Day. I'm not going to even say, I told them, don't even let me know. When y'all invite me over next time, you can tell me in person. They had, what I'm hitting at is this. You know, in governmental affairs, they have all kind of things going on. When the revolution happened, they had Savakis, Savak from Iran, the intelligence network, yeah, and the torture network, we call it. You had tons of their agents here infiltrating the students. They're student leaders, they're Savakis. You don't think just like the Shah ain't gonna let nobody from his country go nowhere and cause a lot of trouble. just like the United States ain't gonna let leaderless resistance. The white folks are so sure that they're like 20, 30 years behind us, but they are sure. Louis Beam wrote articles on it. You cannot have a pyramid structure in the United States. You can't. They won't allow it. So you have to have alternative, right? You have to have alternative structures. You don't give up. You don't quit. So we're the only one that have had inside the United States alternative structures. And we defeated them right there in the open battlefield. And we said we're going to have these programs. It's going to show you how we have made U.S. government agents expose themselves. Think about Oakland. Everybody's exposed. And you're tested all the time. You tested all the time. You don't even have to think about the test, because Allah gonna spark you to say something. So I could say, almost, I'd love to hear something from Sister Zakia. She was a nice lady. And 3 days later, I sure hate that I not ran out on you, but left you there by something like that. And I'm ready to go right now. Back to Oakland. I'm ready to go right now. I called. I haven't called back because I wanted to see how this, not see, but how detailed are the threads. Right now, this is one of those, it's always 24/7, but this is a minute to minute, right now, this minute to minute to minute. You know what I mean? It's like we're not only watching, but we're doing little things. And they're all important to them. They're all important to them. So, back to the original thing. We're representative history, and we know it. We've been a target for over 50 years, and we know it. We already know that. So what we have to do, what we had to do, I'll get to the second, third stage later on. What we had to do, we've already done that. With Oakland, we forced everybody on the surface, and people would ask, how do you have the patience to put up with this stuff this long? Why? When we go back to Oakland, we go back to Oakland as the expert on police brutality, right? I done showed y'all some of the paperwork from being arrested, this, that, da. You combine that with the modern times. You combine that with the recent times. We're the experts on police brutality in the United States. We are. They can't put nobody on TV, right, that's had more experience with police departments than me. That's just the way that is. That's the way that is the actual reality. And it brings it up to the last day. I mean, to a little while ago. And it don't look too nice. That don't look too nice. That's bad. And there's Mukhtar. You can see Mukhtar. It's unbelievable. He's selling it off to the white man. There he is, boss. And he's supposed to be a Muslim. Who would do that? What reason do they have to do that? Right? Imam Musa using up the believers' funds. That's what he wrote on one of the things. $24,000 for the house. We went out there and paid $50,000. Remember that? We had on our paperwork. We had to pay $50,000. They would leave grass and all that. and not go to fix it, not do nothing, and I tell them go check that out. And they send a bill, $22,901, and if you don't pay it, we're going to sell the property. That's what they would do. When they would be raising money, I'd zip on out there. Here's a cashier's check for $35,000 and all this kind of stuff like that. You see what I mean? And then I have statements from Housing Authority, Section 8. It wasn't much for 1 year. Say it's $15,000 a year. Now I have an account in my name, my slave name. Before, I never had an account. I had 6, 7 accounts. I never had an account in my name because I never had my money. If I gave a talk somewhere and people donated $1,000, $5,000, $20,000, whatever they donated, I just put it in that account. And I spent it all on all the stuff around here. All the time. All the time. So what reason would they have to be upset about? And then I got to think 2013, 2014, it says, and then on the back of the check, it says what account, it went into. And I said, well, that adds up to 30,000. You said I've spent 24,000? Well, what are you talking about? Don't care. What about all the other stuff that happened in Oakland? Nobody cares. Nobody responds. So our job there was to do what we did. They'll all have to answer to the public, they'll have to just answer for it. Because they show no signs of tawbah, but it's to Allah, no, ain't to us. But they don't show any signs. Right? No remorse, no nothing. So, we have all the credibility. Can you imagine? And then we come from the best known family from back in the city. It's not only me, it's my father, my sisters, they're all big in the church and all of this stuff. I remember one time, we live in a modest house, so my father was old and he had a checkered shirt on and he was in a walker or something. And my mother's circle meeting was there. And one of the ladies said to the other, because it looked pitiful, they said, oh, we gotta help this family. The lady looked at it and said, them the richest niggas in town. Because the other ladies, they all know everybody in Oakland know that. But this lady was just new in the group, then she said, these are the richest niggas in town. Like between my sister, my father, and me, we'd be rolling. My brother was a professional baseball player and all of that. But just imagine, Willie Stargell and all them guys was family friends, like my brother's friends. They all played baseball. My brother played for the Phillies. But you know what? There was an article in the Philadelphia newspaper. He's the only man that went from the minor leagues up to the major leagues for one day. You know why he was there one day? Habits. Not drug habits, nothing like that, but, stuff. And then you can get to have habits. If in the days you played, and that ball you played all up in Boise Cascade, and up in Montana, and they'd have little articles that if the team stayed in hotels, you couldn't stay in them with the team. It'll affect you a little bit, so you might start going out and finding something to do at night. And then it gets to be habitual. So pretty soon, Joe Morgan and them guys, they couldn't play as good as he did. No, Joe Morgan was his best friend. Yeah, Joe Morgan was Joe Morgan was his best friend. We all know them guys, you know. No, Joe Morgan, that was my brother's best friend. Okay, so Joe got mad one time. I don't want to go, but his car in those days, people drove Cadillacs, so he had an Eldorado down at the Cadillac place, and my brother was busy, so my brother asked me, take Joe down to the Cadillac place, and I took him in that big pretty Brougham, and it had Hank rings on it. He almost wanted to say, what are you doing with this? I'm Joe Morgan, and I'm that, right? He was mad, he was burning up. He wasn't physically mad, but he was thinking, I'm a big shot, and you're a commoner, you know what I mean, something like that. But anyway, let's get back to, look. When we return to Oakland, we return as experts on the FBI, NSA, Homeland Security, and all that. We are. We're also the experts on what's wrong with the Muslims. We're the experts on it. It don't make no difference whether we're in their newspapers, speaking at their programs. See, the thing about it, you have to know who you are. Bump what other people know. That's, like my idea way back when, back in the early 80s, was after high school graduation, each kid should get a world tour, and then they should have to stand in the auditorium for 1 hour with everybody in the auditorium whispering about them, pointing and giggling, looking at them. Why? After they find out it ain't nothing, they all just giggling, because they'd be getting mad. You're talking about me. Just think about it. This is what I was saying. This is back in the early 80s. To teach people, get a look at the world and see how it is with your own eyes, so you have some understanding of what's going on in the world, and then to know people. Let them talk and giggle and point at you. And stand there for an hour. You can't do nothing. You can't say, if you can't do nothing. You just have to stand there and take it. Then when it's over, you'll realize that ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. That was my idea then. I think it will still be helpful. But what it do is it lets you realize, hey man, y'all, and what you say and what you think and what have you, if it's that nickel and dime stuff, it don't count. You do it all you want. But this is what I'm going to do, and this is where I'm going. And when you do that, and you live a life of adventure, I want to digress a minute. You know, what other people live, a static life. I've lived, still living, a life of great adventure. The first part, when I'm just growing up, the white man kept me in the police station and the little jail. But I learned more than I did in jail than I would have learned on the street. And it was at a time when it wasn't important. I'm growing up as a kid. I ain't gonna do nothing but ride bicycles and stuff like that. I ain't did a whole lot of time when I was grown. I do 4 or 5 years. Other people do. I mean, I done did about 10-something years, all in all, but that was when I was a kid, mostly. As grown, maybe, let's say 5 years, all in all. That ain't nothing. My friends, they be knocking down time, 20 years, 18 years, 40 years. Life, you don't never see them again. That's time. That's when you don't get a chance to do what you want to do. But imagine, when I'm out of jail, when I got out when I was 20, by the time I was 25, I was the richest guy in town, had all these cars. I did everything that everybody wished. I mean, they would have wished to do 1/10 of that. If I got 10 cars, they just would have liked to have one. You know what I mean? If I had 10 businesses, they would have just liked to have one business, one car, one, right? And then everybody writing about Africa and this, that, and another. I go over and go to all the spots, everything you read in the newspaper, and get a chance to go out on safari by yourself and travel all around and with groups and everything. That's adventure. I don't know anybody been on a safari. A real safari, like the safari, you go out safari. I've been on safari before. Can you imagine? A real safari. Not that you have to go on safari, because in those days you could be driving down the highway and you'd see the big tall giraffe just walking like, you say, look at them things, will you? I hope it's still like that, but anyway. And you go out to a crater and have all the animals running around, and then you get a chance to learn people too. Africans, Indians, all the groups of people. And you're different. How the Indian in Africa in those days treated the African is one way. How they treated African Americans is totally different. Totally different. Okay. How many, just think about it, how many African Americans been involved, or actually started, a cocaine smuggling operation from Colombia? Now, that sounds easy, but it's not easy. You got a production, to buy it, purchase. You got to be smart. Because if you come with a lot of money and they got a big product and it costs $20 in Colombia to get a nigga killed in those days, you got to be very lucky or very smart. Now, I thought I was smart in those days, but I found out, thinking about it, that I was lucky, that Allah had a mission for me, that the Colombians, and I thought I was just making them like me and making them think you do it with me, we're going to get big, which we did. So, and have the police there, and they helping, you know what I mean? They think this is our sucker, we're running this show, and you saying, yeah, that's fine. But then you're doing something with them, and on the other side too. And when they come to get all their money back, you say, there you go. And then you going off with your own money that you've been making on the side. And it's adventure. I don't think it's one African American ever been to Machu Picchu. You probably don't know where it is. You ever see that? It's a city on top of a mountain. Can you type up Machu Picchu, Peru? Lost City of the Incas. That's what it is, Lost City. This is a place where all the nobles, when the Spanish came, the conquistadors, the nobles, when they, you see the city? Carved in the hills. Okay, but yeah, I've been there before. And you've seen pictures of it, right? Okay. So 3 Negroes been there. That's great. But it wasn't in 1971, nothing like that. It was last week or something when they made it legal for niggas to travel. Because when I was traveling, you would very seldom find a black person. And you definitely wouldn't find one in Peru or Ecuador or nowhere, or Africa. Well, the African students used to come, and I remember Gwendolyn Brooks. You remember Gwendolyn Brooks? The poet, great poet. we had dinner with her one night at an Indian restaurant of all places. And I was a little homesick, and I was a young guy. So I went up and gave her a big kiss, and everybody said, oh, Anyway, but I'd have never met her here because I was too busy. You know what I mean? All the civil rights leaders that was over here, civil rights, I could meet them all over there because they was going to come over for an African visit. The point I'm going to skip, the point is adventure. People like to read adventure stories, but adventure means you got to get out of your comfortable seat and your TV thing. You got to throw your TV guide away and go to those places. A lot of people don't do that. But when you do that, you have adventure. Adventure is stimulating. Anybody that think that what we're doing right now is not stimulating got the wrong idea. It's stimulating, right? And I know what's going on. I know we got boss man on the hook. He ain't got us on the hook. Yeah, he doing a little reason. He's the whole government. But he's not in control. When I talked about the generals before, and I talked about I talked about Sabiq. Okay, I want you to think about America and think about all the influences. Think about a country that knows that they never get any peace from the other country. Suppose they do some research. Just suppose. And they say, I wonder how much money it would cost to put such and such in a position. And who could we get that is mean enough and stupid enough to do our bidding, and how much would it cost? It could be governments like Russians. It could be anybody else. They could have, when I say anybody, a government could say, hey, I know you're broke. We'll give you $10 million. You go and destroy the Republican Party, and while you're at it, destroy America. What the heck? Get the heat off us, right? Think about it. We're talking about on governmental levels now. Please don't write it off and say that ain't possible. Well, it not only is possible, probably is more likely. Because the stuff we see on the surface, right? Like I told my kids, I said, when I look what's going on the outside, that lets me know what's going on the backside. In other words, if I was looking at things, I could tell, something going on back there. And remember, we always talked about second level and third level. Always. It don't make no difference. What happened? We're going to act on the surface, But remember, the ex-Sabiq ages, they may be around a while. They say, well, join up with somebody. Some would join up with boss man. That's their best way to join. They go down and say, well, let's Sabiq really, and some will look at a ship and they say, what's the name of that ship? Oh, that's the USS Titanic. Well, they're just making an analysis. They don't take but one or two, and they say, the USS Titanic. Well, where the hell is it going? To the bottom. Right? You send the children out to get slaughtered and ran crazy. How many crazy people in them Gulf Wars? The first Gulf War, the people came back crazy, depleted uranium, and they said we're crazy. The women was having that down Texas everywhere, birth defect, children like they was having in Iraq. Nothing is wrong with you. You take a couple of aspirins and get a little rest. That's what they told them. They told them that in English, here in America. Hey, there's nothing wrong with you. We don't let nothing shows up here. What about the third or fourth go round? By the time they did Iraq, by the time they did Afghanistan? How many generals talked against boss man? All of them did. Everyone that, and these ain't little bitty boys. Colin Powell is respected by this system, right? And General Mugger Gubber. Oh, Mad Dog, look at here. Mad Dog is like, he's a soldier, that's what they call it. He's a soldier. The soldiers like him, and he liked him. He's an American, but that ain't no way to run no business. Hey, man, look, we're on the right side of history, and they're not. That's all there is to it. It don't make no difference whether they believe it or like it or not. It doesn't make any difference. And anybody needs any more proof? Anybody needs more proof than what's going on now? They not, I ain't gonna talk about nobody, but they not sewed up real good. They not, anybody that needs more proof about the direction this is going, well, anyway, they just need more proof. I'll leave it at that. Stalingrad to Oakland. Remember, this is a collective of ideas, thoughts, of things. This is not a 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go from here to that, that's fine today, because that's what this is. But it'll wind up making plenty of sense. So when we return to Oakland, we'll return as the nation's experts on police brutality, on general fitna, on the Muslims and who they are, where they are, and everything else. This is not bragging, but you know all the lecture series they have, you can pop up YouTube, you can get this professor, that professor, and all that stuff. Okay. Listen to 10 or 12 of them and all of what they got to say. Just spend a couple of weeks listening to them and see if any of them, any one of them, make as much sense as we do and is as accurate as we are. Some are very good. I ask y'all to listen to Kishu Murabani, or whatever. He was very close to what we talk about. But asking him about some other subject he don't know nothing about. We're more comprehensive, more balanced, and if somebody is equal to, ain't nobody on that circuit better. I've listened for the last, I don't know how long, I listen to 2 or 3 of them a day. I just lay down listening to them. And I learned something from them. The main thing I learned is they don't know nothing. They know, they done read, and they don't know what adds up to what. They can't make it add up properly. You see what I mean? Some of them are very close to right on some things, but what do you do then? If you're right, what do you do? None of them have no, we're going to do this, we're going to make this run. I'm trying to tell you, we're in a serious position. The wind is behind our back. Okay, other people will recognize it in a couple of months. I feel like this is one of those times you can tell the wind is picking up to push things here and there. Okay, that's fine. But it ain't no big deal to us. Remember, everything we're saying right now when let's say there's nothing to lose, nothing to gain, and if I wasn't saying it to y'all that's been listening to it all the time, it would sound a little stretched out, I think, but maybe not. Like the little girl said at the other day when we was outside. I said, "No, I don't look fuzzy-wuzzy, and I don't seem." And the little girl, she might have been lying, because definitely at least half the people there are the police. You have to take that into account. "Yeah, you look fuzzy." I said, "Well, thank you. I sure do like that. Show feels good." Right? To have a little tender talking about you look fuzzy-wuzzy to me. Maybe you do. You may look like their great-grandfather or somebody that used to coddle them. No. So it was nice. Okay. Show. Continuous. Show America. Show America how it's done. Continuous evolution. That's very important. That's technically our job. And we've always done our job. And something we talked about in the lecture the other day, we don't look for perfection, we look for beauty. If you look perfection in the human being, you're in a lot of trouble. If you look for perfection in nature instead of beauty, you can find beauty everywhere, but you can't find a whole lot of course the earth is put together and all that is put together perfectly. Mizan, balance, but you see beauty all day, everywhere, all day, if that's what you're looking for. You see it, you know. Okay, so perfection, but beauty, yes. I just mentioned in the talk before about Alul Bayt cannot become a victim of petty blindness. Can't do it. Alul Bayt here, when we talk about Velayati Faqih, I don't know, I haven't heard Velayati Faqih come out of not one word or no Shia here. Not a one. Especially the Negroes. And they supposed to be here and go to some Shia joint somewhere. Well, is it possible to find a place that is more Shia supportive than here? That's the question. Well, he's got more books, all the Shia. I give them all books. You want some Shia books? I got all of them. Put it out there. I got the thing full of books back there, this thing, everything. Full of Alul Bayt literature. Now you have to realize that ayat that I read about Yusuf alayhi salam thanking Allah for giving him the ability to ascertain and coordinate historical events and realities. Right? Okay. You can hear the most educated people in Iran. And the first thing they say, we sure appreciate. I said nobody else picked that up. Once they even talking about some of the same people they have conference, they send for hip hop artists and other Americans. I'll be down to Daftar and I don't say nothing to them a whole lot, but I say, oh, you're going to Iran. You're an American Negro. And I don't believe there's I'm like the old Greek guy in the Greek mythology that went around all the time with a lantern, day and night. I said, what are you looking for? I'm looking for an honest man. Right? Now, I'm looking for an honest Negro. You know, not here, but I'm saying, look, I tell the people, I say, if you think the national Negro, they was trying to teach the national Negro about the Velayati Faqih. It may be some of the same people that you hear and see, because they're important. And then they said, Uh, Imam Musa, a couple of sisters, reporters, all of them around. Imam Musa, is it true that certain people, when they die, they go on a mothership, or they go up? I say, yes, of course it's true. It's true. I say, and so, when he was in Iraq in '87 and was flying back over here, he was beamed up on the mothership. They took it off the, because it was so funny. You know what I mean? It was like Frederick Douglass is still alive. That's what the National Negro. I had a spiritual experience, and how I got beamed up right while we was flying back. Lord have mercy. And then I looked up, and that was the Lamb without spot or blemish. That's Elijah Muhammad. And then I met God in person. That's Farad Muhammad, Pakistani guy. On the mothership. Yes, he did. I'll search for it. I'll find if it kills me. It's on tape right now. He said it. He got beamed up. It's in '87. Could have been '88, right in the middle of the changeover. Because that was an Islamic program in Iraq. And Saddam Hussein invited the crackpots to come to, couldn't invite no Muslim, and he invited him. And he got beamed up on the way back. Yes, he did. You think I'm lying, we'll find it, don't worry. Just like we find whatever else we was looking for, we'll find it. He got beamed up. So I tell some of our friends, I don't belabor the point. I said, that's a lost cause. If you find an honest American or a non-police American, I'll have him for dinner. I'll tell you, I'll either have him there sitting with me or digest him myself. Guess I will. I ain't lying. It's not that, there was a time when dinosaurs lived on Earth. You know why? You can see they find the bones all the time. That was a time when it was honest Negroes. They did exist. They existed. I'm sure they did. You find their bones around. Anyway, so our little bait. You can tell that there's something going on because of the chatter right now. Okay. So what I say to our friends, you have to be big, above madhab. One friend of mine was telling me, they're grooming Zarif for the presidency. I said, I didn't tell him, but I gave a lecture in Denver 5, 6 years ago. At least 5. I think it's around 5 or 6 years. And I told the conference, all the brothers and sisters there, I said, I'm taking care of the defense of this place, country too. Here, I'm doing that. And that no person that's been not just, had certain contacts and that, or served over here in America should be our president. I take that back now, because shoot, everybody knows. But the friend I was talking about was a real friend. I know he is a real friend, but he's in a clique. And his clique is more important than our friendship. I'm telling you, because his clique cut off, it was getting a little support from here and there. The clique cut it off. And I'd visit him, and he would slide me a certain amount of, after the second time, I said, this is the same. I said, this is your salary, isn't it? "Yeah." I said, I'll take it now, but that's it. So I know he's a friend. But there's other Iranians, he told me, personally, out of his mouth, I hate so-and-so, and he can't do that. So if he become president, first message I'm going to send, you can't hate. You got to go give so-and-so a big hug. Whoever it was, he hated. And they only hate him because of the doggone, they have a different program. A different program. One, and the Rahbar said he liked so-and-so's program in one of his talks. That same person I'm talking about. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everybody coming about all fitna, he do this, he do that. I said, I don't know about all that. I said, that's my homeboy. Y'all can say what you want. I said, I like him. And you ought to like him too. If you can't help him, don't go work against him. That's Democrats and Republicans. Like the Republicans said about Obama, Obama is the most American president they've had in recent years. Negroes getting blowed up and put away increased, right? Under Obama. Black Lives Matter started under Obama, not this clown around. Hey, man, the people, they're not thinking. You know, and what did the Republicans say? I'm going to make sure that anything he wants to do, he ain't going to get it to do it. I said, man, these people, and they're serious about it. Just because of different teams. In hypocrisy, when I saw Nancy Pelosi with a kitty cloth and all other, I'll forget all of them. But I said, I quit. I don't have, you know, I walk away. I quit. It's ridiculous, right? They don't have no shame. They don't have, and they be just doing it like this is fine. I said, man, I may go get me a picture and pull it out and look at it. Hey, man, I said, I walk away. I don't want to, it makes you not want to have nothing to do with it, but not really, you know what I mean? I said, boy, they don't have no, it ain't no. Some of them are, but hey, just think of it. It's a change in environment. You got to remember, no matter what they're doing, if half of them white kids out there is real, that's enough. If just half of them, right? If they have a certain coordinator to bring them all out, that's fine. Because half of them, right? That's all. The numbers, just a law of large numbers. The numbers are so big. And what about the ones that stay home in their house? They want to watch TV. I don't want to go out because I like niggas. They're okay with me. Right? And then the biggest growing crowd, I think, in modern times is mixed race people, right? Remember, they used to be rare. You know, there's a time when niggas was actually black. I would have been a light nigga a long time ago. You can see them niggas in slavery. Now we brown. We ain't not, well, I could claim a corner of black. That's, yeah, I'm a little. But it ain't like blue black, right? Man, we lightening up so fast, it's a shame. And in recent years, that's the fastest growing group in America. And when you get to California, you really got a stew there. I mean, there's Hawaiians mixed with Mexicans, and Mexicans mixed with Negroes, Negroes mixed with white folks. And you have to sit and try to study. You know, I mean, from the old days, I wonder what mixture just for fun, see what their mixture is. See if you can guess. No, lips too big. You got a Negro behind, though. Right? And then they got Mexican feet. You could actually, you know, can you imagine? Them white folks, them old crackers is rolling in their grave. talking about mongrelization. Boy, they got mongrels now. Ain't nothing they can do about it. It's too late. They lost that battle. Tell the truth. They lost that battle. That's finished. So technically, it's not heavy a question of race. It's institutionalized racism. Because the people almost don't care. They almost don't care. And all they see on TV is everybody this, everybody that. They don't care. Right? They really don't. Some lunchrooms you might see all the whites over here, all of it. And then there's a whole crew all there in the middle. They don't care. Okay? So all of those things that were important back then, let me get back to Alul Bayt. The people got to think big. They got to think big. The world is against us. But that's what keeps us on the road. We just keep on thinking, bump it. Bump y'all, I don't care. So this is an open appeal to sanity. It's an appeal to utopian values. If we got a right to think about what we want to think about, to work toward what we want to work, why not work toward the best? Right? Why not say, yeah, we want to, I don't want to copy the lady. That's not a Monica Trump. Be best. You ever heard that? Be best. That's Miss Trump, the white lady. Yeah, be best. That's her little, be best. So I don't want to get too close. But that's fine. Be best, you know. His wife. Not him. No. Well, the girl may not be too bad, because, look, she stayed out of the White House for 6 months, right? And somebody said she was pressing boss man that we got a 10-year-old son, 11-year-old son. You act a fool all the time. I'm your third or fourth wife, so I want you to sign this here that says this happened. And he's the president. He had to sign it, so he signed it, and she came to that. You know. And then after a while, she had a shirt on, not a shirt, a coat that said, you could tell she cares. It says, I don't care. You remember that? She had to, when she went down to the Mexican border, his wife, she went down to the Mexican border, and she bought a jacket that says, I don't care on the back of it. And everybody was trying to think about, what does that mean? Does it mean she don't care or she do care? But anyway, one thing about it, when you listen to her first speech, it was a carbon copy of the Negro lady's speech, right? Everybody said, that's what's the name speech. So she can't be too, like prejudiced, or, I mean, she might be, but don't make no difference. Whatever it is, she know Don, she's embarrassed to have him for a husband, because he can't keep his thing in his pants. He can't be doing nothing to nobody, because if you hook them girls up, they wouldn't tell on you. Right? Tell the truth. If you was really hooking them up. So Don, he's getting his age on, he just, and that's it. So Don is, and that white lady, she said, Don, every time the news come on, you know how they got to pretend. Like Hillary used to pretend like the dummy, her husband, wasn't a fool. And they got to sit there in front of everybody and play like nothing happened. You think they like that? That's just like them generals. You think they like they boys getting blowed away, and then they gonna make a fool out of them? And then it is constitutionally, you know, they do have a constitution. And they're saying, Don, we can't do that. So guess what? when they go that way, they take a lot of people with them. And then you got to think, is it getting better for Don or worse? What about America? What about America? All this happy talk about the economy ain't happy. It ain't happy. They just got to go further in debt as if they wasn't in debt enough. And they use their money to cut everybody else's throat. They say weaponize it. Well, guess what China and everybody else is going to do? Get their own currency, right? That's just, they're making people. I don't want to be a part of this organization. I don't want to help this. I don't want to do that. And as soon as they do that, China come right in and say, oh, yeah, we just love everybody. And, oh, they wasn't going to give y'all no money. Well, we happen to have a few dollars, and we'll help. You know, World Health Organization and all that. And the East, he got out of the Asian trade, Asian century. The man is stupid. The man is stupid. He just get out of the thing that everybody is saying. That's where it is. All the things show India is in Asia. Iran is in Asia. China is in Asia. Japan is in. You can't forget. And then the poor guys is getting their stuff together. Vietnam. What do you think Vietnam is? It's in Asia. Indochina, they used to call it. It's in Asia. Thailand, where they make all the little masks we got that they used to. Asia. Right? And then where did all the Muslims stay? In Malaysia and Indonesia. Malaysia and Indonesia, 200 million Muslims in Indonesia and another 180-some million in all in Asia. In near Asia, or they got the Near East and the Far East. When you got Pakistan, Afghanistan, all the people, and then when they finish their wars, they're going to have to rebuild their country. It's going to be new with all the new stuff. New stuff. Guess who's going to have old buildings? You ever look at the buildings in America compared to the ones in China? Good God Almighty. So boy, them buildings is old and raggedy. In the airports, they don't function. Here, they don't function. They don't function. It's just empire. You know, it's just the rise and fall and the decline of empire. That's all it. But it's more than that. Let me speed up. Rise above the president, above clickism. Request global assistance. Well, we might as well request it. Of course, we do need a little help. No, we don't need a little help. We need big help. But so far, so good. So if y'all want to help, just, oh, by the way, they just closed my Muslim account. So temporarily, you have to send everything in my slave name, which we'll talk about later. Got here without a click. Oh yeah, this is important. Where we got, it's a miracle. Remember, we got where we are without a click. Everybody left. Can you imagine? You got to think about it now. Everybody packed up and went home. And we're still here. Where are they at? What are they doing? They just had an expiration date. They stayed till that was up. They said, it's time to go. We're still here. If they knew how much fun it was to be here, do you know how much fun it is to be able to fight boss man and everybody's scared of him? And after a while, you know, Abdul Malik had a name for me, the Teflon man. Everything bounced off. That's then. Can you imagine now? when you done improved on psychological guerrilla warfare and they can't make you mad. You know, there was a time when boss man, he don't scare you, but he can make you mad. Man, this is doing this to me and doing that, and I'm mad. You still function properly and good. But it ain't like when you have fun. Everything, it gets hilarious. And so we're facing all cliques, Zionists, Negroes, Iranians, Arabs, all of them. Because they got some of all these people working, and there's universal cliques, some of them. So we showing that it can be done. That's what our arrival means. It can be done. Okay. Global organized diversions. I'll wait a little while to explain this because it. Yeah, global organized diversions. That's right. And all these things are happening with no visible support, but we're still here. And I'm not going to explain that in depth, but that's a very important thing. President rules, charters. I'll move toward a close. The present rules for today, the Constitution, charters, prevent our vision. We have to work within or without the restraint of law and order. In other words, we can't let the past imprison our future. What happened in the past, we got to go on. If anything is true, we got to shake this up and do. What do they call it before the New Deal? We need a real New Deal here. A comprehensive. And what we've been talking about is comprehensive. It's one for the recent present, the medium, and for the long range. So we don't want to be prisoners of history. Value of evolution without cliques. Right. Whatever you get into, you evolve over it. We have really had a lot to do with evolution. And remember, we said, and this is true, that the government then either ran out of stuff to do, or they don't want to do anything else because you evolve. You know, and everything they do is so they don't kill you or you're going to evolve, be able to deal with it. So when they stop doing something, you have to assimilate. Remember we were talking about simulators? You have to assimilate. What would they do under these conditions? You do the whole variety, just like looking at things. You do surface, below the surface, and at least below that. Simulation. What would the FBI do under these conditions? What would the CIA, what would Homeland Security do? And you do them straight line, do them all straight line, then you mix them up. Then you do that analysis. Then you just shake them up, put them in a thing, shake them up, do an analysis, don't hurt nothing, right? And then you practice 2, 3, 4 types of simulations. Simulations, regular simulator, like fly an airplane in the simulator, right? You simulate movement, you simulate the structure, you simulate the world. What would they do under these circumstances? Whatever it is, it's like playing a good game of chess. You can't lose by playing it. Because every time you play, it extends your, they say nerve endings and stuff, I don't know, your brain. In other words, you get smarter. But you get smarter playing the game than you do sitting on the bench. Sit on the bench, you get, pretty soon, you get a little chubby, you know what I mean? You lose it. So, Hey man, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. The other thing, we're going to give boss man, we giving him a run for his money, but he should have picked on somebody else. And I believe it's too late for him to hurt us physically. At least I ain't scared of him. If he do, if he just get up and say, I'm killing a nigga, at least I just, boop, and I'll be dead. Finish. People have plenty to research and to discuss. Because we got tons of it. Remember, can you imagine the DVDs and the CDs? And I got them from day one, all on cassette. You know what I mean? Hey, we're in the big time. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Some have been set different places. I just hold on to these. Just the heck of it. Right? It's all over. They can't do anything. So anyway, the other thing we always say, have fun. No sense not having fun. You know, maybe I think you have to train yourself for that a little, because boss man in the beginning stages, he don't make things that much fun if you're not used to it. In fact, it'd actually scare most people to death, I believe, because he study you, find out what you like and dislike, and he's scare you to death. Okay. I would talk about leaderless resistance, but we don't have time. But we'll mention structured resistance, companionship resistance, and just think about it, resistance. In other words, out of all of this talk, is it really possible? Or is this really happening? Just think about it. Is this what we've been talking about? It's really happening. It's actually happening. And living during the present is a big deal. When the people lived through the 60s, they didn't realize it till they was over. Then they watched TV, they said, this happened to us, I was there, I know that. But they wasn't tuned in on, we tuned in on what we're doing. Yeah, we're living, every day is a new day. So we'll never have to go watch TV and say, man, doing 2020, 2020 vision, because everybody have 2020 vision. Oprah got 2020 vision. She have a whole series of programs, everybody do, 2020 vision. Mm-hmm. Right. 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 It might be the case because remember, all these people got computers and they just stay on them all the time. And I'm sure everybody, if they in resistance activity, they just type in resistance, nonviolent resistance, this type of resistance. And they're going to run up, oh my goodness. And eventually, they incorporate some of those things. That's what somebody told me that about these demonstrations here. That's the reason they didn't have a structure, because they didn't have structured leadership. That's why I talk about the companionship resistance. Companionship resistance, of course, is made up. But the companionship resistance is just what it says. We'll talk about it in detail on the next go-round. But companionship resistance is resistance that involves real companionship. And it has a protection that if it works, it works. It, if it don't work, it don't cause no harm, in other words. That's the period now to move where if it is a threat, the threat don't cause you no harm. And if it's not harmful, then it works. See, if the human being do something, other human being can undo it. Or can, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is the big time. Are there any questions or comments about anything? Oh, they did anybody ask any questions there? Mm-hmm. What did they say? This one, okay, Million Man March. Uh, we do demonstrations, we know, have an idea about how much they cost. We also saw them garbage bags. We also was with 500,000 people down there, white folks. What was it, 21 buckets or whatever? So it's fine. Okay. So people may mean well, but some things don't fit, and that don't fit. And then all the people here that helped them put it on, if they help them put it on, then why would one group get all the money back and they not get, well, ma'am, we only got 70% of our money back. Well, get them 70%. Of their share. You know what I mean, what their share would be. No, ain't nobody got nothing. At least I didn't hear nothing about it. Are these things still on? Okay. Okay, let me clear up something. We are not against any group or any movement. Straight out. You have to get that straight. Okay. But we also have learned many things. We try to put it out in the best way that we can. We was using that as an example. Whatever happened, after that, nothing happened. That's all we said. We didn't say nothing about this. The main thing we said was a theater. It was theatrics. It was a show. That was a show. I've been to the show before. I know that was a show. Also, we've gained knowledge of how stuff worked in D.C. One of the reasons we came here over 30 years ago, we said, well, we had all the game. We was pretty up there when we came here from Oakland. We was, you know. But we say if we go to D.C., they're going to throw everything at us and we're going to get sharp. That's the reason for coming here, to get what we got. That's why we came here. And we told everybody that. And that's what we got. One thing we got is movements and organizations and people that all the groups that are participating in activity, where they go after We see people that are in the media. We see what they was doing before, how they got there, and who they keep. We can see people on RT that they there. They there. We can see that we was on RT and they cut our throat, although we knew that everybody was appreciating what we were saying. We know that. But, okay. So we know we can feel the influence of certain people. And with certain groups, we was overseas with them at programs. We saw what they were doing. We saw what happened when they got back here. We see what they do while they're here. We already see that. It's unbelievable. So we try to be the most delicate we can. Example. A guy came by, it might have been yesterday, with a care shirt on, delivering food. Okay. And I got to get a big hug from you, Imam Musa. A big hug. I hope it ain't nothing, no virus or nothing. Okay. But why would somebody come by with a care shirt on when 2 days ago I just mentioned that care is a bunch of bums, and they're supposed to have been around long enough to know who works against us, and they got a doggone care shirt. Why would they do that? It's okay, it's all right. But we know minute to minute. That's why I say everything that's going on now is minute to minute. It ain't no, okay, it's good. It's good. And you can test where you at. You can throw out something, zoop, it come right back. You throw out this over there, it come right back. You know, there's times when that happens. You can measure how fast the movement is traveling, just like you can measure a good batter, get up to bat. He got to be able to figure out in a split second, is that ball coming at 90 miles an hour or 100 or 110, right? And then you swing. Okay, the longer he comes up to bat, the better his timing gets, right? But even him, he gonna be batting 350, and if he be batting 3, that's real good, huh? Okay, suppose you batting, let's just say 950. Of course, you batting more than that, but right? Tell the truth. You gotta is this stuff real or is it not? Our analysis hit the target every time. Every time. And if it don't hit the target, like, you know, this is the bullseye, it hit right in the color thing. It's going, you know what I mean? So it might as well be, they technically call it a bullseye. Suppose it get way up here, one step away, one circle away from the bullseye. That's just a bad day, that's all. But you hit the target almost dead on. Only thing, you missed the day of the week that it was going to happen or something like that. You might have been a month off. That didn't happen until a month later. It would happen a month ahead of time. I'm saying, right? This stuff is real. On the Negro groups, all those guys, I'll mention names. Siraj Wahaj, they went and got him in 1982. For me. That's who they went and got. For me, and what's his name from Philadelphia? I think his name is. He used to work for AMC. He did all the collection of information. Fareed. Me and Fareed was talking. And I said, yeah, this happened and that happened. He said, yeah, then they went and got Siraj. So everybody knew. Everybody knew. I told the Negroes the stuff that I tell them at ISNA headquarters in Plainfield, Indiana in 1988. And they all turned their back. Can you imagine? I said, it's okay. Fareed got the stuff on camera. Everything I told him, all of what I'm down in the bathroom, and Alameen from up in New York, he comes in. Old Sheikh Kidder was there. Sheikh Kidder, he went to school in Saudi Arabia. Red freckle-faced guy. Yeah, man. Musa coming up next, and I'm in the hammam part, the bathroom part. I'm 2 feet away from him, maximum. Yeah, da 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 da. I'm going to announce the program. He's going to announce the program. After Maghrib, we're getting ready for Maghrib prayer. Okay, I know these guys. I never said nothing about them. For years after, they didn't beat me over the head 50 times and stuck me in the back 12 or 13 times before I even mentioned anything. I didn't start mentioning Mellow Yellow. I drove all the way up to Connecticut to see him and all kind of stuff all the time. And met him in 97 at what's her name? He's there with Hamza Youssef. Hamza's acting scared. I said, you don't have to be scared. The niggas ain't going to talk about our crew. They're not going to bother y'all. You can do what you want. You know. I done had all this stuff. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. Nothing. I mentioned this stuff a minimum of 10 years. You would, if you wasn't me, you would fall apart. They have a meeting and they design their meeting and everybody there is against me. Manna, the first Manna, that's what they was doing it for. You can see it now. In Kenty Clough, they worse than Nancy Pelosi. Remember they had the program that was Kenty Clough looking? And Malcolm. And then they all been out of shape. And they have a demonstration down there, everybody welcome, and they not there. They're not there. Invisibility, well, damn, go down there and get visible. Right? If it's enough of you, they got to turn the camera on you. And they got to show all the Muslims is here. I'm sorry, we just didn't see nobody down there. Remember the families we saw? One family was a carload, probably Indo-Pakistanis. Then we saw a few individuals, As-Salamu Alaikum, while they were smoking, whatever it is. Right? I mean, they're nice people, but I'm just saying, you could tell that was the background, right? 19, 40, 30 years ago, you used to come down to Of course, he didn't have it with him, but I mean, you could tell, right? I mean, and they nice people. But the Muslims, we distraught. What do they say? I keep forgetting. We're so sad. This is answering the same question the guy asked about Million Man March. I'm answering the same question, just taking a while. Conference focuses on how social invisibility of African American Muslims lead to psychological trauma and suffering. And they're all there. They're just there. Right? They're there. They're suffering. Well, if you can't walk and somebody handed you a crutch, I'm suffering. Well, at least walk on the crutch and build up your strength pretty soon. Nobody see me. I'm the invisible man. They look at me and they don't see another human being. You're invisible. Take off the cloak. Uncloak you. They do it. Them battleships now. They cloak them. Not real. Star Trek now. You got a cloaking device on, right? Tell the truth. The niggas is cloaked. They cloaked. You can't find them. Who cloaked them? They cloaked themselves. It's insanity. Look, I'm going to go back and have me a lay down and a laugh, then I'll go take a little walk and stuff. But the people, something's wrong. Everybody trying to find somebody to blame for all of this, and the world is going to hell. The time limit, man, of course, I ain't going to say I ain't scared of nothing, but they make you feel funny because the boss man keep boiling the oceans and frying the fish up, and you know what I mean, melting the, when I see them icebergs in Greenland and all them places, them big rivers of water, you ever see them on TV? Rivers of water. I said, man, good God Almighty, it took 1,000,000 years, 1,000 years. That's fresh water too. That's all fresh water. I said, man, that make you feel a little uncomfortable. That's the best word I could put with it. I'm not afraid of it, but that makes me feel uncomfortable. That we got a crew running stuff that's so stupid that you look at that, what's next on the agenda? How much money we gonna make this week? It's ridiculous. So what do we do with the white folks was down there? We was doing security. They had, what was it? You said 21. We just put all that money in the emergency shack, medical shack. Let's put it in there. You think anybody else would have did that? They wouldn't have did it. If it was Negroes, they'd have had at least 10 or 15 of them. And they van, and they'd be gone. You'd never see them again. They'd be gone because there was enough money in there for them to be gone. There was 500,000 people out there. Most of them was white. So they put $20 a piece. Even some they put 50. Some of, did I just have $5? I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just have $5, and they was all full, I'm telling you. Look, it ain't nobody like us. I've been looking for them. I'm sorry. They're not like we are. Forget it. You can say and mumble, humble, and all you want. The Negro is his main problem right now. The Negro is his main problem. You didn't let the white man whoop on you so much that you don't want to, and the cast of characters at these funerals, no, man, no, I'm sorry, ain't nothing I can't do anything about this. I could do about myself and a few of us, we try to do a little right here and there, but I can't do nothing about them people. I don't know what they are, and I don't even have a name for it, but it ain't right. Anyway, y'all go see the stuff on TV. Cast the characters. I'm not going to name them. Who are they? Every time something come up, here they come. And then the same old Negro lawyers. What's happening with that? I mean, it make it seem like, because I called some of them lawyers, and they don't answer the phone. Or they actually got you on the phone. Then you tell them who you are, or they get a call. Oh, excuse me, I'll take this line. The phone must have a button on it that flashes extra when it's an emergency. When they get back to me, so sorry. See you next week from Tuesday. Finished. All the time. Not all the time. Let's call it every time. I'm sorry, dear brothers and sisters. The people, we're just trying to do a little bit of right. We don't say if, 'cause it could be possible for us to do a lot of good, and right now is the time. Suppose we had some Negro coordinated efforts. The white people would, yes, we want to go too. All the Negro had to do is get enough bus to drive a busload of white folks to wherever we want to go, and they'll get on. Tell the truth. The white folks, all we need is enough to drive A busload of each nigger is each Negro is in charge of 50 white folks. That's all we need is enough to coordinate the program. We can drive them anywhere we want to. They're happy to go there. Where you going? I'm on the nigger bus. Not the New York bus, they got the, I'm on the nigger bus to freedom and justice, and I get to ride. And I get to put on my internet, whatever, that I was on this bus in history. I'm a part of it. They take a selfie with the bus driver, the nigger, right? See that? The white folks, I don't want I don't want no picture with y'all is white folks. Tell the truth. That's where it is now. And they won't do it. The niggas won't do it. They won't do it. They won't do it. We're pleading and begging the niggas, come on, man. This is it. I mean, you right? Tell the truth. This is it. You don't need no more. If 10% of them white folks that are out there are what they appear to be, that's sufficient. You don't need all the people. You can get them white folks at office in each city, the better Negro office, Negro improvement office, anything. It don't make no difference, right? And they're all in there. Hello. There's no Negroes in here now, but I'll take your call, and what can we do for you? We got a group of white folks over there. They got everything at their house. What can we send you something? What do you need, right? We got it all in it. Oh, it's over at our house. We got that. And you live in the projects, and you want a sofa and a chair, and what else you need? You want maybe color TV or 2 or 3. How about a car, right? We got that right over there at the warehouse, at the white folks' warehouse. Tell the truth. That's the way it is right now. And they won't do it. Niggas give a speech. I'm not mad at them, because actually I'm happy. But dear believers and brothers and sisters, if you need a better reality than now, I don't know, something, tell the truth. Am I making sense? Does that seem like that's the way it is? I'm not exaggerating? No, I'm not exaggerating. Okay. I just want to know. I just want somebody to say, you kind of in the ballpark. That's all. Are there any more questions? The Hodge conference? Oh, online. Okay. Who's the head of it? Yeah, all right. Of course, tell him, just send him back, say, yeah, I'd be happy to, or whatever. That's when everybody we do talking right here, and they be watching it all. Like the graduations they had. Everybody graduated, and yeah, a webinar. Not a seminar, but a webinar, yeah. And the Hodge conference is the whole old-time Hodge conference, like we had up in Canada. Mujtahid, yeah, Sabiq, Mujtahid, Mujtahid, Mujtahidi, Shia, that type of thing. He's regular on there. Oh, okay, good. Tell him, yeah, we'd be happy to. Oh, okay. Big Council of North America. Yeah. Muzamel Sadiqi. Muzamel Sadiqi. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Hmm. Zulfikar Ali Shah. Ali Shah. Okay. Yeah, but the demonstrations is out there. That's a crime. That's a crime. That's no. Oh, by the way, uh, have you heard anything about the demonstrations here? Well, since the guy got killed in Atlanta last night before last. Okay. Well, since that thing happened in Atlanta, we might as well, huh? Okay. Well, see what's happening tomorrow. If we should at least go down there tomorrow, just for the heck of it. If it's 10 people, remember, 10 people is enough. Yeah, 15 people. We're not trying to, It is slowed down. Did you go yesterday or day before? When he said nobody, did he mean nobody like, okay, right, okay. Well, with that thing in Atlanta that happened last night, that might boost them up a little bit. Uh, no, that's their training. Their training, you can't get that out of them. They feel like you can't do, I'm here, I'm the boss here. You got to follow, and they done taught them that because years ago, the police wasn't taught like that. The police now has become more and more militant. You could tussle with the police. I used to, when I was 17 on back, you could actually you could fight you know, and you could run. Kids, everybody, when they saw the police, they'd break out running. That's what we did. the police, we'd start running. Just running. All the kids is running away from the police. For what reason? We found out later on why. You know, we was already running, but we found out why. They're going to take your name, they're going to put your name on the list, and they're going to add to that list and add pretty soon. You got a case. So anyway, hopefully it'll be something tomorrow, but we'll be ready for tomorrow afternoon unless it's absolutely nothing happening. But even if it's 5 or 10 people down there, we should go down and, do a little talk outside and have it, the people won't know. If it's 2 people there, we had a camera on them. And they'll think the place is full. Okay, so that's it, alhamdulillah. All right. So, what do y'all think about these the talks? Are they making sense? Are they